Someone explain what they mean by congruent figures.
Yes.
What would make two figures congruent?
Equal angles and equal sides.
Excellent. Okay, so two figures with corresponding, and we're going to talk about this idea of corresponding sides and angles congruent. Okay? So two figures, they could be rectangles, they could be triangles, they could be pentagons. Figures mean any shapes, okay? All right, so two figures with corresponding sides and angles that are congruent. The key to this, though, is this idea of corresponding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a picture to represent the corresponding. So what I want you to do is I want you to draw two triangles that look like they're the exact same size, okay, like this, okay? I will label one of them R-U-N and one of them D-M-C. Okay, are we good? Next. I'm going to put a tick mark here and a tick mark here. I'm going to put a double tick mark between the U and the N, and then between the M and the C. And then I'm going to put triples down on the bottom. Okay? So here's what we mean by corresponding parts. If I were to ask, RU is congruent to blank. Philip. DM. Do you agree with that? All right, so RU corresponds to DM in the other triangle because they are the congruent parts. That's what we mean by corresponding, and we're going to be specific and say corresponding congruent parts. Okay, next. What about UN? What is that congruent to? MC. Okay, and then what would RN be congruent to? DC. Okay, so those are all your sets of corresponding parts. Okay, next, I am going to do angles. So if I asked, angle R is congruent to angle blank. And in order to help you out, I'll go tick, 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 and then I'll do doubles. What angle is R congruent to? What'd you say? D. Okay. And then angle U is congruent to? M. Angle M. And then angle N is congruent to? Angle C. Okay. Any questions on that so far? So you've got 6 corresponding parts. And that's why Dimitri said 2 figures are congruent when the sides are congruent to each other and the angles are congruent to each other. Very good.
Wouldn't the sides be proportional?
That's when we get to similar triangles.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be chapter 6. You're 2 chapters ahead of us right now. Okay? All right? All right. Next, I'm going to talk about this idea of a congruency statement. This is the biggie. Okay? All right. I am going to say that triangle RUN is congruent to triangle DMC. Now, this is the part where it matters how you do the letters. Because based upon the congruency statement, I am saying R is congruent to D because they're both the first letter. I'm saying that angle U is congruent to angle M because they're both the second letter. And I'm saying angle N is congruent to angle C because they're both the third letter. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, and then the same is true for like sides. RU is, side RU is the first 2 letters, is congruent to DM, the first 2 letters. Does it still work based on our statements we came up with? Okay, so to check for understanding, triangle UNR is congruent to triangle blank? Raise your hand. Elliot. He says MCD. Do you agree with him?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Because they're both corresponding.
Is U congruent to M?
Yes.
N congruent to C?
Yes.
R congruent to D?
Yes.
Alright, so then it worked, okay? And there are 6 different possibilities that you can come up with. It doesn't matter which one you write down, as long as your corresponding parts are in the right order, okay? That's the only thing that really matters, okay? So you're going to do what we just did with example number 1. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to write the congruency statement. The congruency statement is triangle blank, 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 congruent to triangle blank, blank, blank. Then you're going to match up all the corresponding angles. So you're going to do what we did over here in purple. Then you're going to match up all the corresponding sides. That means you're going to do everything that we did in blue. So do those 3 things on example number 1. Are you guys okay with that statement? ABC congruent to DEF. All right, did anybody put it in any other order? Did you do a different order? Okay, what'd you get?
I did triangle BCA is congruent to EFD.
BCA is congruent to triangle, what'd you say?
EFD.
EFD. All right, is he correct?
Yes.
He's good? Okay. And again, you could have done the letter C first. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, just as long as everything is matching up. So you should understand then that B is congruent to E, C is congruent to F, A is congruent to D on the angles. We're good on that? BC is congruent to EF because they're the first 2. CA is congruent to FD because they're the second 2. BA is congruent to ED because they're first third. You agree with that those statements? Okay. All right. Do we need to do it again? You understand the concept? Okay. So then I got some tricky ones for you. All right. Try this one. All you got to do is write the congruency statement. Triangle blank, blank, blank is congruent to triangle blank, blank, blank. What'd you come up with?
Triangle GEG.
DEG is congruent to
Triangle FGE.
FGE. How'd he do?
Great.
He did great. Notice that angle D is the right angle, angle F is the right angle, so they're both in the same spot. The E's are not in the same spot because the E refers to this angle on one triangle, but then the E is referring to this angle on the other triangle. So if you put 8 E's in the same spot, you're saying that this angle and this angle are congruent to each other, and it wasn't marked that way. Okay? So something to point out to you is, think about like you're walking the triangle. So if I start at D, I walk to E, and then I walk to G. Notice I started at the right angle, I walked to the angle that was marked, and then I walked to the angle that wasn't marked. So over here, I'm going to start at the right angle, I'm going to walk to the angle that is marked, so that's why it's F to G, and then I'm going to walk to the angle that is not marked. So just think about it like that, okay? As long as you're using the same pattern for both, okay? All right? Like I said, tricky ones. What about this one? Why not? Very good. Okay? If you didn't understand what she said, they are not congruent. So say it louder. Say it again. What you said, why they're not congruent. Okay? She said these sides do not match up. Okay? They don't. Think about it this way. 5, 5, 5, all those tick marks mean the same, but double tick marks mean a different number, so like 8, 8, 8. Are those 2 triangles congruent to each other?
No.
No. The angles are congruent because what type of triangles are both of them?
Regular.
They're both regular, they're both equiangular, and they're both equilateral. Okay? All right, but, and this goes to your question, Dimitri, these two are proportional
Yes.
because the angles are congruent but not the sides. Okay, so that's chapter 6. Okay, got it? Yep. All right, last one. See how you can do. Who wants to give her answer? Go ahead. WYZ. Triangle WYX. How'd she do? Let's see. W to Y to Z. So she went from this angle, which is going to be congruent to this angle. If this one's 90 degrees, what's this angle? 90 degrees. So she went from this angle to the right angle out to the congruent marked. Then she went from here to the right angle out to the angle that is congruently marked. So she did perfect. Good job. Okay? And again, that's not the only possible answer. So did somebody come up with a different one? Oh. Because remember, there's 6 answers. Sam. ZWY is congruent to triangle XWY. Okay? As long as your W's are in the same spot, your Y's are in the same spot, and then Z and X are in the same spot. You want to read yours? Go ahead.
I had XWY is congruent to ZWY.
Very good. Okay? Which is pretty much the same thing. Okay? Just different order of the triangles, which is good. Okay? Questions?